change it, we're gonna change it.
You good?
Go ahead. No.
I'd like to call the committee of the whole meeting for the Village of Cary for Tuesday, April 18th, 2017 to order with roll call, please.
Dudek,
Here.
Cavelli,
Here.
Osler,
Here.
McAlpine,
Here.
Kraus.
Here.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, Nancy, can you note that this meeting started at 6:59?
I did.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any public comments that people would like to address the village or the committee of the whole? None, we'll go ahead and close that. We're going to have a discussion regarding the village clerk position. This was something that was brought forward by our current outgoing village clerk, Nancy Bragg.
And then too, I just want to supplement that. I've got an attachment here to your agenda item before the village board that kind of outlines the duties of the clerk and then the deputy village clerk. And then obviously there was also a memo that was sent out from the village attorney regarding the term of the clerk. So staff is able to answer any questions that the village board has, and then also Attorney Simon as well.
And what am I? All right, you guys discuss.
Well, from what I can gather from the information that we got, that it's a position that does need to be appointed, and it'll be appointed until the following election in 2020.
2019.
2019. And it's appointed by the mayor with the advice and consent of the village board.
Right.
So it seems like we're going to have a clerk one way or another for the next 2 years.
That will be an acting clerk until the 2019 election, and then if that person chooses to move forward through the election process, they would move to a 2-year election until they're caught up with, because the village clerk serves the same term as the mayor. So that'll be a two-term, 2-year positions for the village clerk. And we will go through an application process. We'll post that on our website, Cary News Weekly, and most probably put an ad in the paper.
I would like to avoid that because of the cost. If that's something that the board wants to do, we can do that, but there is a cost to it, and I'd prefer to have it on our website and the Cary News Weekly to avoid the cost to the paper.
Nancy?
Yes.
Do you have any interest in that position at all then? Saying you already know the duties and responsibilities?
Yes, but I mean, I already mentioned to Mark that, yes, if he would be willing to appoint me, that's fine, but it has to be the approval of the board anyway, so,
Okay.
yes, I
I was
do,
just curious.
yes.
I like that we're doing a process, an application process. I like that. I'm fine with it just going on the village website. You know, I think we can get word of mouth.
Yeah, I think we had good response when we did that with like the ZPA and different things that we're filling.
Right.
If we didn't get a response, then I think we could look at something else, but if we get a response, then
Any other questions on that?
I mean, if we do decide that we don't want to have a village clerk, I mean, that would have to go to referendum.
You have to have a village clerk.
Oh, it's not even a choice by referendum to eliminate that position?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, not only that, community villages with very small populations can change it to an appointed position permanently with no election, but your population is too big.
Okay.
Finally, our population's too big for something?
we don't hear that too often.
So when would the deadline for something like this be? What are we anticipating? When putting it out?
Is there a time limit? Is it 45 days?
The statute only addresses a deadline for trustees, and so the deadline to make an appointment is 60 days from when the vacancy occurs. The vacancy won't occur until May 2nd. The statute doesn't speak specifically to a deadline for the village clerk, but you certainly can follow the protocol for trustee.
Does the statute speak to allowing the existing village clerk to stay on until a new one is appointed?
That's allowed, yes.
I mean-
Until the successor is appointed,
Yeah.
the village clerk can continue to serve as the village clerk.
I mean, my vote may not mean anything, but if it does, I would suggest that the board keep a village clerk, even though it may not be the permanent one, until such time that a new one is brought before the board and successfully voted upon. That would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I like that idea.
I do too.
Okay, thank you.
Is there, well, hang on one second. Is there any opposition to us just putting that ad out here now?
Is it something well, I guess, because it's your appointment, I mean, do we have to advertise, or if we agree as a board that we wanted to keep Nancy, could we just say we're going to keep Nancy and not advertise it?
Good with that?
Pardon me?
I'd be good with that. And I don't know if you want to wait till the new board comes on, yes.
Well, I would ask the new board, I mean, the process, because there's other appointments that need to be made too, that do we want to do that, just continue on with that, or do you want to go to an application process for that as well? So,
Jeffrey, I don't want to say that you misspoke, but I'm one for clarification. When you asked Mark about the ad, did you mean just on the village website or placing an ad in the paper?
I think altogether, I mean, if we as a board decided that we wanted to keep Nancy as the village clerk for the next 2 years, do we really need to go through all the rigmarole of trying to find a new one? You know, but it is Mark's decision, I believe, to appoint with the advice and consent of the board.
well, again, I think when we have the new board seated on May 2nd, give them an opportunity to chime in. I think that's only fair, seeing that they would be serving under their term, so absolutely.
So we don't want to have an application go out now, correct?
I would wait till May 2nd.
Okay, and the village board wants on May 2nd us to discuss this again.
Yes.
I would say so.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, anything else? All right, we'll talk about our interim consultant that we have supplementing some things for our interim village administrator. Jake, did you want to take this?
Yeah, just a quick update. The Village of Cary entered into agreement with GovTemps here after our administrator at the time had moved on to the same position at the Village of Libertyville. The agreement called for up to 15 to 25 hours a week. The agreement started on May 12th, and it was through, or excuse me, December 12th, and it was through May 12th. The compensation for the agreement was $105 an hour. We've expended approximately $10,000. Mr. Gannick has provided a great service to the Village of Cary. He's been an advisor, provided recommendations, observations, and the $10,000 equates to about 6 hours a week. So this was asked to be discussed here, and just want to open it up to discussions and answer any questions that the village board has.
I actually asked if this could be brought up. 'Cause I just want to know, are we ready to discontinue these services and move forward? I know when we initially talked about it, you know, it was talked about keeping him through the election period, and we're over with that now. So I want to know, do we still need those services, or can we forego them and run without them? Yeah, you.
I didn't know if that was directed at the board or if that was me, but I will say that we're in the same position that we were previously. We still don't have a permanent village administrator. I think it's time for the village board to have that discussion. I would recommend that we finish out this term through May 12th, but that's up to the board to decide.
So May 12th, this would discontinue then?
Yes.
Correct.
Automatically?
Correct.
And I mean, I get our minutes that say he attended meetings, but can you maybe just give us a little bit more of what that means?
Yeah, absolutely. When Mr. Gannick, you know, and I'll start from the beginning, when he first started, you know, met with trustees, and most of his time then is, you know, meeting with me and kind of being that sounding board. Right now, as interim village administrator, there isn't that assistant, and the assistant typically in these communities serves as a sounding board. He also attends our department head meetings here where we, talk about strategy and things that are going on, and he's an advisor, provides any comments that he has at those meetings. And that is equated to about 6 hours a week. I expect going forward, it's probably going to be anywhere from 1 to 3 hours a week for total expense of probably about $2,500. So I recommend we finish out the term through May 12th. But if the board wants to terminate it now, we have that option.
Jake, has everybody met with him already?
Everybody as,
All the trustees?
no.
Any other comments?
I think we should finish out the term. We certainly haven't expended the amount, and from what Jake is saying, you felt it's been very beneficial for you, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I think, again, when it ends then, I think we're probably going to make some decisions as a board as to what we're doing at that point. We reevaluate, and perhaps we use them on an as-needed basis, or who knows, but we can reevaluate at that point, because I do think we need to do that and figure out what we're going to do moving forward with them.
I would just say that too, I've tried to be miserly, I guess,
Right,
with
you're
this.
here.
I mean, 6 hours a week.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what people intended it to be. I think initially we were looking 15 to 25 hours a week, and it hasn't even come close
Right.
to that number. I use them when I feel I need to. We've done some things differently than we have in the past. And Bill has been helpful in, guiding me and providing guidance on how this information is presented to the village board. I mean, a perfect example is our CIP. I mean,
Right.
we haven't had the CIP previously. And that was something that I was able to talk through with Bill, and, we were able to develop that, and the board ultimately approved it. And so, like I said before, I think there's a benefit here to the village for it. But again, it's up to the board on if you want to support this moving forward. We could have it on the next agenda if you wanted to formally vote on it on May 2nd, if you feel that's appropriate.
Vote on it as far as keeping it, or?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think we'd be okay for a month without it. $2,500, it's something else we could spend money on, so I don't know. I still feel that we don't need the consultants.
And I'm not saying you wouldn't be okay. I've got all the confidence in the world that, you'd be fine. But again, I think we started this at the beginning here because we don't have a village administrator. I understand I'm the interim village administrator. There isn't an assistant. That I don't have that sounding board. The relationship that I have with department heads is a different relationship than I would have with an assistant. Bill is a high-level assistant. He is a high-level assistant right now for me to be a sounding board and to help the village operate to the best of our ability and to provide a high level of service to our residents.
So do we have any projects coming up in the next month? Any big projects? Because we already approved the budget stuff, so is there anything else?
No, and that's why I said that I think that this is going to be a 0 to, probably a 1 to 3 hour assignment. Because I don't know if there's going to be a lot of things that we need to, he needs to be the sounding board or we need to talk strategy about. I just don't see that. But I think one of the biggest projects before the Village of Cary, before this board, is to figure out who's going to be the permanent village administrator here. I think that is the next big step because we've got big time projects in front of us. The public safety, Village Hall, that building. I mean, we need to start working on hiring an architect here soon. Also, and it's no surprise, I think that we're going to have, some type of, attorney RFQ process here, at least for prosecuting attorneys. There's some big projects that we have coming up, and, we need to make decisions and move on.
Any other thoughts?
I guess this all makes me wonder if we're going to go back to having an assistant administrator, Mayor.
Are we going to?
Yeah.
It's budgeted.
How much is budgeted, Jake?
87 and a half. 87,500.
which would be prorated because it would be starting in the middle of a budget year. But I think that Jake and I have talked a lot about this, and there's value for him moving forward to just kind of dwindle this down. He's asked for, he's been very good about budgeting for this. It's nowhere near what we were anticipating. And I'd just like to just let this expire, and we'll move on from this. I think he's been beneficial to the department heads as well. So I think it would be beneficial just to finish this out. Anybody else have any other questions on that or issues?
Is it something that we could just decide without voting on it, since it was a resolution, we voted in the first place to hire this position?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if the board told me right now that you want to end the relationship, then we'd end the relationship. So village, we're going to continue to provide a high level of service, whether Bill's here or not. I just think right now, we still haven't decided, who is that permanent village administrator. I think that the board needs to decide that, and we probably need to talk pretty soon about what you want to do.
Again, that decision has to be made with the new board.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I'm okay with finishing it out, but I'd like to get a little more detailed information in terms of what you're meeting with him about, if you do meet with him in the future, till May 12th.
What I'm meeting with Mr. Gannick
Well, instead of
about,
just,
or-
he attended our department head meetings, I'd like to know a little more detail about what did you meet with him about then, if you meet with him in the future?
Okay.
We
Well,
met about the Maplewood property, or we met about the administrator appointment.
He's going to continue to attend our department head meetings. He's going to continue to attend those. And if there's any other things that come up, I'll be happy to talk to the board about that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
okay, thank you for your comments. Unless anything's changed from the last 5 minutes for department head reports, we'll go ahead and forego that. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That was quick.